Hey everybody. I've been watching what's been going on in the world in the news, and boy, there's a lot, isn't there? So I'd like to read a couple verses from the Bible and point it out and lay it out bare to the people that believe and the people that don't believe. Man, it is hot here today. I had to turn the fans off because you can't hear my voice over the fans. But we're in Matthew chapter 24, verses 4 through 8. And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. I don't believe that's pointing out to individuals saying they're Christ. I believe that's talking about many are saying they're Christian and Christ-like. And boy, we see that today. From Catholicism, Mormonism, Seventh-day Adventism, Jehovah's Witness, Emergent Church, Apostate Protestant. Out of 1.2 billion people as labeled as Christians, man, how many are actually really Christians? If 1.2 billion it's actually 2.2 billion labeled as Christian, and 1.2 billion is Catholic. And then you add to that Mormonism, Seventh-day Adventists, and all that. How many people are actually really Christians? I believe there's very few of us. That little narrow road, there's very few of us out there. Because we don't take this book and spiritualize it and turn it into metaphor and allegory. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye not be troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, pestilence, and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. The beginning of sorrows. Now when you go over to Luke 21, start reading, say, 23. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there will be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. I believe that's talking about the wrath. Well, no, I'll just continue. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. That time will be fulfilled at the end of the 7-year tribulation. That's when Jesus will come back, and the nation of Israel will be the preeminent nation on this earth. It won't be run by Gentiles anymore. And Jesus will be sitting on the throne of David from Jerusalem. And there will be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity at the sea and the waves roaring. We've seen that already with Indonesia and Japan. It's going to get worse. Men's hearts failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming from on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Now, when I was talking about the powers of heaven being shaken, Satan is a power. I believe that's when he's going to be cast out. And he's got to come to this earth. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the cloud of power and great glory. That's the second return. Now, verse 28 is key here. It's just like verse 8 and 24, verses 4 through 8, when it says, all these things are the beginning of sorrows. So when we're now, as Christians, watching the world events take place in the world, big old crow, we know to be looking. Because in verse 28 of Luke, it says, Luke 21, and when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. What things beginning to come to pass? What we just read through 23 through 26. What we read through Matthew chapter 24, verses 4 through 8. We are seeing the 7-year tribulation, Daniel's 70th week, time of Jacob's trouble, being set up right now. Now, in case many of you don't keep up with what's going on in the events in the world, the American dollar has been destroyed. It's shot. It's been undercut. People are making deals left and right. They know what's about to happen. It's not going to be the world backing currency for the world any longer. It's already done. It's just the steps taken to do it are happening. It's not a done deal yet. I mean, we're still using it, but not for very long. Now, when it says wars, kingdom against kingdom and nation against nation, I believe that's talking about ethnic groups. I think we're going to see that within the borders of this country. I think by me watching all these world's powers align themselves, armies being drawn up, nuclear powers starting to come out of nowhere. I mean, we just sent something like 25,000 troops back into Europe. We're going to fortify some borders. We see the governments preparing for chaos. We see underground seed vaults. We know there's massive underground preparations going on, and that's when the time of Jacob's trouble, when men are going to be going underground calling for the rocks fallen and to hide from Jesus. We are literally right there. And knowing that when we saw, not my generation, but the generation before me, saw the birth of Israel in 1948, and they're now 67 years old, that generation that saw that will be the same generation that sees the second advent of Jesus. And we know that the rapture takes place at least 7 years prior to the beginning, or when Jesus returned. We know we're right there, because the imperative is not, okay, that generation, that last person living on this planet, the last one that saw that, will be the person that sees the second advent, and everyone else is gone. They're already dead. The imperative is not on that last person. It's that generation. So that means it's sooner rather than later. And we're there. I watched these things going on, like the decision before the Supreme Court about Obamacare, the decision before the Supreme Court about homosexuality. And there was a company, I don't remember which one it was, they were handed out pieces of paper asking people if they supported homosexuality. And it was mandatory to answer it. Any job I get, I'm not going to be answering it, because I'm keeping myself out of the political fray at the job. And anywhere outside the job, I'll talk my mind. But if I get a job, I don't want to jeopardize myself in losing it. So I'll just keep all political and all religious talk away from the job. I do enough online with my family and other people as it is. But I won't be signing no paperwork, and I won't be filling out no paperwork asking me for my personal opinions on stuff, so that they can eventually find a way to get rid of me. No. Besides, here it is, June 24th already, getting ready to go into July. September's just around the corner. Who knows if anything's going to happen, but it's 4 feast days on blood moons, solar eclipse in between. That doesn't happen very often, so there has to be some significance to it. This probably means war, and by what this says, it's coming. We see the armies shifting and going into the positions they need to be in. We see wars waging all around Israel. And it may not be Assad that fires the shot that starts the war and gets Damascus wiped out in one night. It may be ISIS saying, okay, now we can't. I think they can get rid of Assad, but they might do something, use someone else as a tool to do so, like say get on the outskirts of Damascus, and the missiles that they've been taking from the other terrorist groups, their manufacturing facilities, they themselves might launch from Damascus at Israel, knowing Israel will respond and wipe out Damascus. And then once that happens, it's all in. Every Muslim on the face of the planet is going to try and attack Israel. And hopefully, we are the church are not here. But that's all I got to say now. So I'll just sign off and say, see you later. All right, bye.